Hello everyone, I'm here with another tutorial for the CAL, and this tutorial is block 7, the alternative puff stitch. And this is what it looks like. This is my block 7, and you're going to need your yarn, tape measure, and your hook. I'm using a 5mm H, which is what the pattern called for. I hope everybody's having fun doing this tutorial. I have found there are some blocks that are challenging, and I will try and do tutorials for the ones I can. Thank goodness we have a year-long CAL to do all these blocks. If you can get 6 or 7 done a month, no problem having it done by the end of the year. So to start out with, we're going to start with a chain of 26, and you're going to chain loosely because it makes it easier getting into your foundation row. So do your 26 chain, and a chain is your basic. Just yarn over and pull through the loop. Yarn over, pull through the loop. And you go ahead and do 26 of these, and I will meet you at the end. Okay, we've reached it, 26. Once we get through this row and the next row, we're going to mark our right side with a stitch marker. There is a right side to all these blocks, and my suggestion, which is what I'm doing, is you just have a little piece of paper and mark your block number on it, and I usually put what stitches it is on the block, on the piece of paper. So for row 1, you did your 26. Now we're going to go to row 2. We're going to chain 1, and single crochet into each of the chains going across, which will give you 25 single crochets. And for anybody that doesn't remember or forgot, single crochet is just you go in the loop from front to back, yarn over, grab your yarn, yarn over, draw through, go through your chain front to back, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. I will see you at the end of the row. Okay, I'm coming to the end of the row here. I just got a few more single crochets to do, and then we'll go on to row 3. And a good thing to do is when you're done, check your stitch count, because stitch count is important because of the multiples that these patterns have. So we'll quickly check our stitch count here, and we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25. Okay, so we have the right amount of stitches. And how I was counting that was, if you turn your work to the side here, you see these little V's on top. That represents 1 stitch. I find that the easiest way to count instead of trying to count the single or double or crochets. So for row 3, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn. And we're going to single crochet in the first 4 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3. Make sure you get both legs of the V, and 4. So there you have that. Now we're going to do our puff stitch. Now if you look at your pattern, it tells you how to do the puff stitch, but we'll go over it right here. So you're going to yarn over, pull up a loop 3 times in this next single crochet. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to pull up a loop, there's 1, yarn over, same stitch, pull up a loop, that's 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, that's 3. Now, you should have 7 loops on your hook. 2, 4, 6, 7. Then you're going to yarn over. This is why I say don't make your stitches too tight, because you're going to pull through all 7 loops. And then pull through your 7 loops. You're going to yarn over and chain to lock your stitch. Then you're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. There's 1, there's 2, 1 more, and 3. Now we're going to repeat this pattern all the way across. So let's do another one, another puff stitch. So yarn over into the next single crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop 2, yarn over, pull up a loop 3. Make sure your stitches don't get too tight. Then you're going to yarn over. I'm going to pull through all 7 loops. Like I said, mine made mine too tight. It's getting a little trouble going through. Yarn over, chain to lock your stitch in. And then we're going to single crochet the next 3 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, and another puff stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop 1, yarn over, pull up a loop 2, yarn over, pull up a loop 3. Again, check, make sure you only have 7 loops on there. 2, 4, 6, 7. Yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, yarn over, chain, lock your stitch. Alright, continue this all the way until we get to the end, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, you'll see you're down here for the last 4 stitches. As in pattern, did the puff stitch here, then you're going to do 3 single crochets, which is your pattern repeat. 2 and 3. And you'll notice you have 1 stitch left. And the last part of this, after the repeat, it says single crochet in the last stitch. Make sure you get both here. There's what it looks like. This is your wrong side. This is your yarn here. This is your right side. As you can see, your puff stitches. So what we're going to do before we go any further is we're going to take our stitch marker and we're just going to, so we know what the right side, keep track of our right side. And as you can see on the right side, the puff stitches really stand out. And as in any time that you're knitting or crocheting, the left side and the right side should balance. Usually, there is exceptions. Also, if you're doing any of these blocks and you think you find that your stitch count isn't working out, it's very possible that there's an error in the pattern. I haven't come up on one yet, but if I do, I will definitely let you know. And it happens, human error, typographical error, printing error. But anyways, let's go on to row 3. So you're going to get all straightened out here. Tighten down your yarn. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to single crochet in every stitch across, which should be 25 stitches again. Check your stitch count. I am going to show you though when you come up to a puff stitch. Okay, 3, 4. Okay. If you look, come on camera, focus. If you look here on top of your puff stitch, it looks like you have a stitch here and a stitch here. This is the stitch, the top of the puff stitch, that you want to single crochet into. have to, just turn your work to the side and under both legs, as you can see there on the hook, and do your single crochet. And then 3 single crochets. And you just do this, sorry, out of camera, all the way across, making sure you get in the top of your puff stitch for your single crochet. And continue across, and I will meet you here at the end of the row. Okay, we're coming to the last few stitches here. And once we finish these here, we're going to count our stitches just to make sure that we still have our 25 stitches. So, count our stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Oh, see? People make mistakes. That's why it's important you count your stitches. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Somehow we ended up with an extra stitch. So I'm going to rip back to before this last puff stitch, because I believe that is where we made the mistake. Nope, 1, 2. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's just examine this again. This is a good thing that happened, and I'm not going to edit this out. So let's figure out where we have our extra stitch at. So we have, it told us to single crochet all the way across. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 for your puff stitch, and there should be 3 next. 6, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then our puff stitch, 8. Then there should be 3 if we're following the pattern from the bottom there. 1, 2, 3. Our puff stitch, and I believe we found, there's our extra stitch right there. That's our extra stitch. Remember I had told you on the top of the puff stitch it looks like 2 stitches, but it's the middle stitch here on the puff stitch where you go through. So we found our mistake. So I'll go back. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. So we should have 12 more stitches go in. So that's 12, 13, 14, 15, top of the puff stitch here, 16, 17, 18, 19, top of the puff stitch, that's 20, should be 5 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we got it. We got it right now. For our those last few stitches, and we'll finish up these last few stitches, and we will double check one more time. And I mean, it's not necessarily in blankets, but I am very aware of stitch counts because I do a lot of garment patterns. But even in blankets, if you're doing something that's in pattern, it's just not a straight single crochet or double crochet, you want to check your stitch count, especially when I call them motifs. I don't know what the technical term is, but just like here, these puff stitch, it has a very specific stitch count in order to make the pattern work out. So one more time, let's check our stitches, how many stitches we have before we go on to row 4. So again, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, and 25. Yippee! We got the right stitch count this time. And again, where the extra stitch came in is, just if you looked at your top of your puff stitch, there's the eye of the chain you did to lock your stitch done, and then it looks like a stitch, but it's just going over to do your next single crochet, and it's not technically a stitch. So you don't you don't single crochet into that, which I did, and that's where I ended up with 26 stitches. But that's how you figure it out. If you make a mistake, just work backwards. And this row here was all single crochets, but the single crochets were going into the pattern here. Okay, let's bring zoom in a little bit here. Okay, the single crochets were going into your pattern, which our pattern was the first 4 single crochets, then a puff stitch, and then there was 3 single crochets between each puff stitch. If you look here, it's let's see if we can get them here. I gotta look around. 1, 2, 3. So there's going to be 3 single crochets on top plus the puff stitch. So although it's only single crochets, it does affect the pattern if you add an extra stitch. That is called an increase, which might show up in a later tutorial on one of these blocks. You never know. So anyways, let's go on to row 4. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. Now we're on the wrong side again. Now this one here, you're going to single crochet in the first 2 single crochets, puff stitch, then 3 single crochets, puff stitch. So let's begin. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, we do a puff stitch, yarn over, drop a loop 1, yarn over, drop a loop 2, yarn over, drop a loop 3, yarn over, draw through all 7 loops, lock your stitch down. Then we're going to go into the next 3. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, 3 single crochets. I'll do 1 more puff stitch with you, and then I will meet you at the end. Okay, ready for our next puff stitch? Yarn over, drop loop 1, yarn over, drop a loop 2, yarn over, drop a loop 3, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, lock your stitch down. Continue in pattern, 3 single crochets, puff stitch, 3 single crochets, puff stitch, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, we're down to our last 3 stitches, and this will be our last puff stitch in this row. One of my hairs in there. Don't have a cat. 1 more. Yarn over. Draw through 7. I find if you pull taut, it helps get it through. It opens it up. And then the last 2 single crochets. Both legs the loop. Zoom out a little bit here. So, all right. So that's what we have so far. Okay, we're going to turn our work over, and we're going to count our puff stitches. Okay, because in row 4 we should have 6 puff stitches going across. So let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. In the first row of puff stitches, if you'll see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's alternate puff stitch, and it's alternating. So the pattern will be 5 puff stitches, single crochet, 6 puff stitches, single crochet. Row 5 is single crochet all the way across, and you will continue in pattern rows 2 to 5. That's after row 5 will be a row of single crochets. Then you will do your row of 5 puff stitches. Single crochet in the first 4 single crochets, puff stitch, 3 single crochets, puff stitch, 3 single crochets, puff stitch. You get that done, you do another row of single crochet. Then you do your 6 puff stitch row. And do this until you reach approximately 7 inches. And as you can see here on my block, here, let me zoom in a little bit. Might be easier to see for it to focus. Okay, come on now, focus. Doesn't want to focus. Alright, so we'll do, there we go. So, here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puff stitches. And then up here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next row will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your alternate puff stitch. So, and that goes all the way up until you get to seven inches. And you'll notice mine's more than 7 inches because this has the border on it. Once you get your block to 7 inches, you will do your single crochet border, the 2 rows. One in whatever your block color is, and then the second one in your main color, which will be your joining color. And on the pattern, where you have all your blocks, this is where you're finishing your edging. And it'll tell you as you work your blocks not to finish off because you're going to do your 2 rows. And then, as I've been telling you, it'll tell you round 1 to do your block and your single crochet edging in the color of your block. That's why this looks like there's 3, but there isn't. There's only 2. This here just breaks down to you that the second round is in the main color. So I hope that tutorial helped you a little bit with this puff stitch, and I'll be back with another tutorial. If you want to leave a comment and let me know if there is a particular block you're having trouble with, I can try and do one for that, or put it in queue to be done. I mean, after all, there's 63 blocks we've got to do. 3 of the blocks, the first 3, pretty simple. Single, double, treble. No, single, half, double, double. I don't think there is a treble block in this blanket. But I hope you enjoy doing this, and I hope this was clear enough for you to follow. And I will see you next time. Thank you.